As LSU gets set to play as the #1 team in America against the Kentucky Wildcats here at Tiger Stadium. Dave Neal alongside Heisman Trophy winner Andre Ware. Glad to be with us. The #1 team in the country. The first time the Tigers have been #1 since they won the national championship back in 2007. However, a lot of the conversation around Baton Rouge and around college football is the return of senior quarterback Jordan Jefferson to this team. He came back, practiced on Thursday. He's in uniform today. Your thoughts about Jordan and how much he will play, if any, today?
Well, maybe a small package in the second half. He returned to practice, had 2 really sharp days of practice, throwing the football around. It really looked like his old self, but we know whose football team this belongs to now.
Well, LSU got the #1 ranking, Andre, because of what has been a tremendous schedule. They just knocked off West Virginia on the road last week, and I guess a lot of people think this team has a chance to win another national championship. What gives you the thought or thoughts that this team can hold on to this #1 ranking?
Well, really 2 things, Dave. Defense and a running game. In the SEC, you better be able to stop the run and run the football, and they've got both. They've got a defense that just seems to swarm. They're all over the place, 4th in the nation against the run. Then on the offensive side, they can run. They go 4, maybe 5 deep at the tailback position. They've got great fullbacks and an offensive line that can move people off the football. They can run it with the best of them, a bunch of talent.
All right, well, you also got to have some game changers, some big play guys. They have those on the defensive side of the ball, and a youngster in Tyrann Mathieu. This guy is phenomenal. Wait till you see him if you haven't had a chance to see #7.
Well, no doubt about it. He is a playmaker. If you forced me and twisted my arm today, he would be in my top 3 in terms of the Heisman. He just makes plays, always around the football and just disrupting things. They use him as an edge rusher. They use him in coverage in the secondary, dropping down in their nickel package to play over slot receivers, making plays again, then out in the open field. A great tackler. You don't get by this guy. Then special teams, down covering punts, making plays in that department as well. First one down the field, you put it on the ground. He has a sense for what to do with the football once it's out, creating turnovers, and has a nose for the end zone. I'm telling you, the guy is just a dynamic playmaker on the defensive side of it.
Those highlights, there's only been a month of the season. There's a lot more football to be played for Mr. Mathieu and company. Now, the last time, as we mentioned, LSU was ranked #1 was back in 2007. They stubbed their toe along the way to that national championship. They were knocked off by Kentucky in Lexington. They hope to do the same here in Baton Rouge. For more on the Wildcats, let's go down to Kara Capuano.
Kentucky head coach Joker Phillips told us this week he can still remember when he was a player walking into Tiger Stadium to menacing jeers of Tiger bait. There's no way to truly mimic the atmosphere here, but his team managers tried this week. They actually drove golf carts with speakers blaring crowd noise right up behind the huddle. Phillips said that the message for the team is simple. LSU's hallmark trait is to intimidate its opponents. The Wildcats cannot let themselves get intimidated, and they need to match LSU's intensity if they're going to have a chance, Dave.
Thanks, Kara. They will need to bring it in a lot of ways today against this LSU team. These fans coming to the ballpark this morning around 8 a.m. They were lined up already down the street a mile long, camping out, tailgating, having a great time. Whether it's a day game or a night game, they were anxious to see the #1 team in the country, and they've got them here in a matter of moments. Kentucky won the toss. They deferred, so LSU will get the football first. Joe Mansour will kick it off for the Cats. Kentucky comes in 2-2, 0-1 in league play. LSU, of course, 4-0. One conference win as well. That was at Mississippi State. We are underway. A kick that will settle in at about the 6-yard line, taken by Morris Claiborne. Claiborne out over the 25 to the 30. A 24-yard return.
Claiborne, just notorious for giving the Tigers excellent field position averages, over 32 yards per return.
Well, there's Jarrett Lee, the senior quarterback who has, I guess, come back as strong as you could expect. A young man who was certainly much maligned throughout his career. But you look at those numbers, Andre, it's hard to find any fault with that young man this year.
Yeah, just a steady player, and they've got so many playmakers around him that he doesn't have to make plays. Just distribute the football to the guys that make plays.
They'll line up in the I formation. Ware gets that opening handoff, and he'll get a couple of yards on the play. That'll give us a chance to show you our Chick-fil-A starting lineups. Brought to you by, of course, Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And this is how LSU will go at it. We showed you Jarrett Lee in the backfield. Spencer Well will get a ton of carries along with Michael Ford and Alfred Blue. But Odell Beckham is that highly talented freshman receiver. The offensive line, there is no T-Bob Hebert today. He is out with an injury. Josh Williford will move into one of those guard spots today for the Tigers. Lee passes, batted in the air, and falls incomplete at the 45. There's Odell Beckham Jr., a rare drop for the freshman out of New Orleans.
Yeah, and you see the timing of Jarrett Lee right as he comes out of his break. The football's there a little bit high, but you're expected to make that grab, and they're not afraid to throw it down the field. There's been, talk about, well, they go 3 steps with Jarrett Lee a lot. No, they will push the football down the field with Jarrett Lee at quarterback.
Well, here's a 3rd down coming up for LSU. 3rd down and 7. Tigers have converted 48% of their 3rd downs this year. That is 2nd best in the SEC. And the Wildcats will hold and force a punting situation. First series out of the gate.
Jarrett Lee went to the single receiver side. I thought he had plenty of room for the slot receiver, maybe work a smash route at the top. There was a lot of room, single safety. And he went to the side where Ruben Randall was located, and kind of his security blanket on 3rd downs. Randall's made a lot of grabs this year for Jarrett Lee on that down and 3rd down and long.
Brad Wing will punt it away. Randall Burden stands back at the 27-yard line and is tackled at the 30. A 40-yard punt, and Kentucky's offense will come on the field. Special teams stopped by Alfred Blue, the sophomore running back. And this Kentucky offense has had some trouble putting some points on the boards. They're averaging just 17 points a game, 12th in the conference. Morgan Newton, the junior quarterback out of Carmel, Indiana. Taking over for Mike Hartline. Hartline completed 66% of his passes last season for Kentucky. Clemens, the freshman tailback out of Fayetteville, Georgia, runs right into Eric Reed, a gain of 4. As we look at our Chick-fil-A starting lineup for the Kentucky Wildcats, you'll see Rourke, Adams, and Robinson are your wide receivers. Clemens coming off a bad hamstring. Practiced a little bit this week. Coaches say he should be good to go. We'll find that out as this game unfolds. The offensive line, only the 2nd time all year that this group has been intact. They have been injured throughout preseason and the first month of the regular season. Out of the eye. Toss sweep to Clemens, and he'll get it out over the 35. Give him 2. Matthew will be the one who pushes him out of bounds as we look at this LSU defense that is as good and as deep as you would want. Adams, Brockers, Logan, and Montgomery on that front 4. They'll rotate about 7 guys in there. The linebacking core, Francois, Hatcher, and Baker. In the secondary, that's where you got the game changers. Claiborne, Matthew, Reed, Taylor. Harold Simon will get some work as well.
There's Matthew. Keep an eye there.
Over the middle, passes drops. Matt Rourke, senior out of Ackworth, Georgia, had his hands on it.
Yeah, and he's had some struggles dropping passes. We got a chance to see him against Western Kentucky, and he dropped passes in that game last week against Florida. Had some struggles, but that's one that you catch. It's 3rd down and short. You want to move the chains and keep LSU off the football field. You got to have that one.
Then Lott's going to punt it away to Tyrann Mathieu. Matthew, 9 punt returns, averaging a little over 6 yards per return. This is a wobbly low kick that will hit it to 30 and spin out of bounds back at the 32-yard line. A 36-yard punt, no return. And when we come back, the LSU offense will take the field for the 2nd time this afternoon from Tiger Stadium here in Baton Rouge. Scoreless here in the first quarter in our SEC Network Game of the Week, Kentucky and LSU. Kentucky defense back on the field for the 2nd time. Give us a chance to look at our Chick-fil-A lineup for these Wildcat defenders under Coach Rick Minner. 3-4 base defense, Rump, Cobble, and Wyndham. They'll also get the services of Mark Crawford back up front. He was out for the first month of the season. Linebackers Wilson Snead, and there's Danny Trevathan. Led the SEC in tackles last year, first this year again in the secondary. Mosley, Winston Guy will play that hybrid linebacker safety spot, and he'll be all over the football field. Nellums and Mosley also in that secondary. Here's Ware. Nothing happened on that play. Maybe a yard for Spencer Ware, who came in averaging over 4 yards a carry. Between Ware and Ford, this is a group that averages over 150 yards on the ground just between those two. So you talk about running the football, they have the components to do so.
Yeah, they wanted to match the toughness of that LSU line defensively and then stop the run. And if you can get penetration like Mr. Cobble did there, as well as Ronnie Snead, the middle linebacker, you're well on your way to having a successful day in both departments.
Michael Ford in a tailback, but Lee will throw it. He's hit, passes in the air, just off the fingertips of Ruben Randall.
Danny Trevathan, the playmaker. He led the SEC last year in tackles with 144. And you got Randall Burton on the outside, who's their best cover corner, matched against a guy that can get down the field, and Ruben Randall, and pretty good coverage there from Randall Burton. So far, Dave, Kentucky passing the test defensively.
Well, they have LSU chasing the chains here on 3rd down and 9. Lee will roll to the right. Lofted up. Pass is caught. Russell Shepard comes back to make the play. A gain of 13, but that was close to being picked off as well.
Well, they run a little out and up on the outside here. Russell Shepard, but he gets himself wide open and then makes a nice grab. Watch the roll here, and the receivers are running out. Both turn up, and it's Russell Shepard that shakes open. Comes up with a nice grab for the first down.
First down and 10 from the 46. Here's Ware. He's met after about a yard pickup, maybe 2 by the time he falls forward. Hit by Winston Guy, the senior out of Lexington, Kentucky. Guy had 13 tackles against Central Michigan, led team with 11 against Florida. They really expect a lot out of Winston Guy. They play him all over the football field. Today's First and 10 line brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota moving forward.
Winston Guy is a playmaker. Danny Trevathan, Winston Guy, those guys, you're going to call their names a lot today.
Lee throws to the wide side of the field. Incomplete, bobbled out of bounds. Boone had his hand on it. Mikey Benton on the coverage.
Kadron Boone, the sophomore wide receiver. You'll see him just a nice little out route. It's thrown a little high, but still pretty good coverage there. But Mikey Benton with safety right there, and you see the accuracy in which Jarrett Lee's operating. Every pass just about has been right on the money and catchable. A couple of drops early, but boy, has he been a model of consistency for the Tigers.
Another long 3rd down situation for the Wildcats defensively. Pass caught, first down, LSU. That's a gain of 11 yards. D'Angelo Peterson, his 7th catch of the season.
Yeah, Ronnie Snead misses the tackle that would have had Peterson coming up a little bit short of the first down marker, but now on 2 occasions you want to fight and scratch if you're Rick Minner to force teams or offenses in the third down and long situations. Then it's get off the field, but 2 consecutive 3rd and longs, LSU's been able to come up with first downs.
Here's Ware. Swarmed by a bunch of blue jerseys led by Winston Guy. That's a loss of 2.
And it's been zone coverage. Both occasions where Jarrett Lee has been comfortable throwing the football. Once again, Kentucky, the Wildcats passed the test. There he is, the tackle machine, Winston Guy. They moved from defensive back to their hybrid position of linebacker slash defensive back, and he is always in the box, always around the football.
Michael Ford hit a tailback. Lee going up top. That ball floats in the air and is caught down at the 5-yard line into double coverage. That's a gain of 37. Ruben Randall gets through Martavius Nellums and Anthony Mosley to make the catch. It's 1st and goal, LSU.
I mean, great coverage. Now go up and make a play. If you're Martavius Nellums, you're there. You're in position to make that play. Mistimes the jump, and a big-bodied receiver like Ruben Randall at 6'4", 208 pounds can climb the ladder, and he makes a nice grab for Jarrett Lee. Well, you got defenders in position. You get to 3rd and long. Now get yourself off the field, and Kentucky unable to do so.
2 tight end set, I formation. Michael Ford stopped at the line, maybe a yard.
Now it's small win time for the Kentucky Wildcats. Giving up 3 big plays on this drive. 1 to Russell Shepard. The last being to Ruben Randall to get in this position. Now the small win I'm talking about, Dave, an attempt at a field goal here. Even just giving 3 is okay.
Take a look at our Verizon Red Zone. LSU, 95% of the time this year they've scored 16 touchdowns. That's 80% of those. 10th play of the drive. Alfred Blue gets it down to the 2.5-yard line before he's stuffed. Ronnie Snead led the way.
We've seen Spencer Ware, Michael Ford had the last carry, and now Alfred Blue, and they've got a talented true freshman in Kenny Hilliard, who rushed for over 8,600 yards his high school career and 106 rushing touchdowns. So they are very deep at that tailback position. They keep fresh guys running at you.
3 tight ends in the game. Joker Phillips running down to the 15-yard line, calls a timeout.
Timeout.
3rd down and 3.
Kentucky, first timeout this half. This is a 30-second timeout.
I don't disagree with that timeout. You might want to make sure here on 3rd down, a big down. You got to make your players alert for everything. LSU has become an exceptional play-action football team with the running game that they're able to have success with. They can show it and then pull it out, and that may be the call right here coming up.
Kara, you're down there next to the Kentucky bench. Why the timeout?
They did not have the personnel that they wanted out on the field. They were trying to make a late substitution to make the line a little bit bigger by adding back in Dante Rump. So that's why Joker felt it was the right time to call a timeout, get the people on the field that he wanted on this crucial down.
I think Dante going about 6'3", about 3 bills, a little over 3 bills. Arrived late August after finally qualifying academically. He's been trying to get in since the 08 season, but he is a strong, athletic player. A young guy that can get some push up front.
LSU, 6 carries, 7 yards on 3rd and goal from the 3. They'll try to run it again. Blue is stopped shy of the goal line.
I think Les Miles, the decision's already made. Kentucky calls a timeout. They just kind of reaffirm that we're down here. We're not afraid of Kentucky's offense. We're going to go for it on 4th down, but they don't get the penetration they had before. And then Dante Rump is able to get in.
And here comes Jordan Jefferson into the game.
I expected to see Jordan Jefferson in the second half and not right here this early in the football game.
LSU will take a timeout.
Timeout. LSU, first timeout this half.
Kind of disappointing to Les Miles because he wanted to sneak Jefferson into the football game and then have the play run quickly. This kind of throws a wrinkle into things.
Joker Phillips is going crazy over there on the Kentucky side, and I'm not sure why. Maybe he thought there might have been an illegal substitution or broke the huddle with 12, something along those lines, but he is going crazy.
Yeah, they broke the huddle. Tyler Edwards came off the field.
Because you backed him up off the goal line, you have a whole other situation.
It is huge if the flag is gone. He's going off the field.
It's exactly what it was. They broke the huddle.
Yeah, and they broke the huddle with 12. He trots off, and the officials don't throw the flag. And that is huge when you start talking about the 5-yard penalty, and it may even change the thinking of Les Miles. Boy, what a drop of things there, and a missed call by the officials. That's amazing. A guy's running off right in front of you, and you don't count 12 players. Home cooking, maybe?
Well, here we go.
I'd be upset, too, if I were Joker Phillips.
Jefferson, his first snap of 2011, a quarterback sneak that will get in the end zone.
Well, what a way to welcome Jordan Jefferson back. First place for a touchdown.
So LSU, 12 plays. They convert on 3 third downs and a 1-yard touchdown run from Jordan Jefferson. Now the ball, point after. Up and good. 7:06 to play in the opening quarter. Jordan Jefferson, welcome back. 1-yard touchdown run. Gives the #1 ranked Tigers the lead. The home folks see the LSU Tigers jump out to a 7-0 lead. 7:06 to go here in the opening quarter. A lengthy drive in terms of plays. 12 plays, 67 yards. Ate up 5.5 minutes off the clock. And Jordan Jefferson, who just returned to the practice field on Thursday, gets one quick snap and he gets in the end zone.
We had a chance to talk to the offensive staff and then Coach Miles, and he looked sharp in practice, like he'd never missed a beat. Was very, up to speed on what was going on offensively. So he spent the time, the suspension, really keeping his mind sharp, and physically he was Jordan Jefferson at practice this week.
Winston Guy will take a knee about 5 yards deep in the end zone. But let's go back to the play prior to the touchdown that got Joker Phillips so upset.
Yeah, and I think he has the right to be upset. You see the huddle here. That's the 12th player trotting into the huddle for LSU. Keep an eye on the official right there. Now, they've broken the huddle. Freeze it. He's right here. Keep an eye on him. He reaches for the flag and does not throw it. Then they call the timeout. That is a penalty all day long, and I don't know why he didn't flag it. He reached for it and did not throw it. You can count 12 players on the screen.
That would have backed him off the goal line and probably forced a field goal attempt. Nice little stutter step. Clemens nearly lost the football, it looked like. Gain of about a yard. Vinny Logan, the sophomore, making the tackle.
Well, you see the speed. The hole was there, and Clemens, just a freshman, not really used to the speed quite yet. But there, you've got to hit that thing going 100 miles an hour downhill and get a feel for it. Otherwise, a guy like Vinny Logan, that hole's going to close in a hurry.
4 turnovers last week for Kentucky, 2 in the first quarter when they were blitzed by Florida. Joker Phillips said this week he was trying to remind his players how precious the football is. Here comes a little corner blitz. Newton read it, gets it out to the 25-yard line, a gain of about 5. Darnell Hatcher brings him down.
That's big. I hate to keep beating that, but when you start talking about Kentucky, they've had their struggles offensively, certainly. That's a huge difference in 7 points and 3 points. You're well into the ball. You're still in the ball game. It is tough to go match 7 points when you're struggling offensively without a bona fide playmaker on that side of the football.
Kentucky averaging just 17 points a game. That's dead last in the conference. We'll all set eyes. Newton checks off. Now they line up a traditional eye. Up top, incomplete, looking for Lerod King. Team's leading receiver with 19 catches, can't get his ball on it. Harold Simon on the coverage.
Yeah, Lerod King is he's continued to really improve, and he's got some huge shoes to step into when you start talking about Randall Cobb and what's missing there. And then you go to Morgan Newton. You mentioned Mike Hartline. He's replacing Mike Hartline. Well, Mike Hartline had Derek Locke, Randall Cobb, Chris Matthews, playmakers. Morgan Newton doesn't have that kind of playmaking ability that's surrounding him this year.
Locke's going to punt it away. He's third in the conference, averaging 44.5 yards a punt. That'll go out of bounds at the 37-yard line. 38-yard punt at LSU back on the field offensively when we come back to Tiger Stadium on the SEC Network. Boy, a good look at Tiger Stadium, where LSU is packing 92,000 in here every single home game. 7-0 LSU out in front. Make sure you join us at halftime as we announce this week's winner of the Honda Generators Tailgate Giveaway. Each week we'll be awarding a brand new Honda EU 2000i generator to the fan with the best tailgate. Simply send us video or pictures showing how you tailgate for your chance to win. Log on to ESPNplus.com for more details on how to enter. Inside Tiger Stadium, Jarrett Lee and company setting up at the 37-yard line. Out of the I formation, they'll play fake it to Ware. Throw near side, right through the hands of D'Angelo Peterson, the tight end.
Boy, a lot of drop balls early in this football game for Jarrett Lee, who's been right on time with the ball. And the accuracy in which he's throwing it, we talked about it a little bit, 64% on the season, but boy, they've got to make some catches for him.
Talking to Les Miles yesterday in our meetings, and you just kind of see he has a quiet confidence with this group.
Yeah.
Incomplete. Oh, they'll say no. They won't say complete. That time Peterson hangs on right at the first down marker. That's a gain of 11, and
well, that's making up for it. A little sprint out for Jarrett Lee, who throws the football right out in front, and you see right there the foot coming down. Nice makeup catch right there. Right there. Nice job of getting the foot down. Just 1 foot in college football.
That'll move the chains.
I like Jarrett Lee coming right back to a guy that just dropped a pass.
Lee now 4 out of 9, 72 yards. Loose football picked up by Ford. And he'll lose a couple of yards, but at least he, from an LSU perspective, didn't lose the football.
You know, you look at this Kentucky defense, and they want to certainly create long yardage situations. They've been able to do it for the most part, and then they can't finish the thing off. You get them in 2nd and 10, and here and now 2nd and 11. You've got to finish this thing off. LSU is the kind of team that can grind. They average in time of possession right at 34 minutes, so you're going to have a limited amount of offensive snaps.
Lee has the shotgun. Here comes some pressure. Throws it up in the air. It's incomplete. Good coverage on the outside by Randall Burden, working against Ruben Randall.
Well, Rick Minner going back. 3rd down and long before he's chosen to go zone defense. I'm wondering if he dials up some pressure again right here on Jarrett Lee. He's proven that you give him some time and you allow him to get comfortable, he has the patience to pick you apart when you run zone coverage. Now I think the remedy is get to him in a hurry.
The 5th 3rd down opportunity for the LSU offense, a 2 out of 4 to this point. Lee has to throw it out of bounds, so Kentucky does their job defensively.
Well, that's the identical play they hit Russell Shepard on, 2 double out and ups. And Shepard came open early in this first quarter. Same identical play. He turns up the field, and it's not there this time. Hey, what nice coverage by Danny Trevathan out there as well. Guys in the secondary covering things up from Jarrett Lee against Jarrett Lee. I'm sorry.
Brad Wing to punt it away. Burden stands back at the 10. He will call for a fair catch at the 10. 42-yard punt, no return. LSU with a 7-0 lead here in the first quarter. We'll come back to Baton Rouge right after this. The Wildcats quick snap. Just Jonathan George picks up 2 yards on that first down and 10 for the Wildcats. That'll move the ball out to the 14-yard line with 3.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Kentucky's defense has done the job and got the football back for the offense. Now can Kentucky pick up some first downs? Newton stops right through the hands of the tight end, Tyler Robinson. And Newton not getting a whole lot of help.
Yeah, Ryan Baker was right in the face of Morgan Newton and didn't allow him the time necessary to go to Tyler Robinson or throw an accurate pass. Ed Reed cleared it up on the back end, and 0 for 3 on third down. So the Kentucky Wildcats, they wanted to move the football, to stay ahead of the chains, and be balanced today. And LSU's had a little bit to say about that. All right, well, here comes the pressure. Look at the box.
Ron Brooks came in, almost came up with an interception. Kentucky forced to punt. Texas A&M, Arkansas getting after it. Let's get an update, Dory.
All right, Dave, how about it? 14-zip Aggies. They gigged them early, and then here comes Arkansas. Tyler Wilson to Jarius Wright. Big hitter there, Wright. 5 catches, already 122 yards through the air. So it was 14-7 until moments ago. Cyrus Gray caps the Aggie drive. 21-7 Aggies in Arlington, guys.
Thanks, Dory. LSU nearly got a piece of the Pidlachka punt. Matthew will let it hit, and it will stop at the 21-yard line. A good 54-yard punt. Rockers almost got in there and got a piece of that football. Tiger fans, don't miss out on the action as the LSU men's basketball team faces off at VCU, Western Kentucky, Georgia Tech, and others in the 4th annual DirecTV Charleston Classic presented by Foster Grant, November 17th, 18th, and 20th. For tickets and travel, visit charlestonclassic.com today.
Well, Texas A&M and Arkansas, a little scoring going on in that game. And last week, A&M struggled, or got out of the gate well, and then struggled in the second half, allowed Oklahoma State to come back and beat them.
On first down and 10. Looks like Christian Coleman might have gotten a head start. We'll find out.
Offside by contact. Defense, number 82. The penalty is 5 yards. It remains first down.
And this is where, as a coordinator, as a quarterback, you get first down and 5. It's a free down. Wouldn't surprise me if Jarrett Lee ran a little play action here and tried to take a shot down the field.
Said 82, but meant 92. Christian Coleman.
It's been a long day for Ken Williams so far. A rough start.
Quick hitter to the outside. Beckham Jr. No gain on the play. Good coverage, swarming defense from Kentucky. Say this about this defense. They're all over the field. A lot of blue. Almost looks like there's 12, 13 players out there.
Yeah, and you're right out in open space. Winston Guy, one of the better tacklers on this Kentucky defense. He's going to kind of corral Odell Beckham. And I thought the first move, and then you get up the field. You can't sit there and try to shake everybody. Help's coming from inside out, and that help then was Winston Guy.
Terrence McGee gets the carry, his first look today. He picks up 3 yards.
Another talented freshman running back. They are loaded at that position. Franklinton, Louisiana. Another dynamic player. Kind of a change of pace guy. You got Spencer Ware, Michael Ford. I'm sorry. Those are the bigger backs. Alfred Blue kind of in that same mold. But when you get Terrence McGee in, 5'9", 212, more of a speed type back.
Third down and a yard and a half.
Oh, I think he may be a little short, Dave.
McGee with the carry. I don't think he got it. That was almost 2 yards to pick up the first down, and might have gotten a yard.
Needed to get to about the 32-yard line, and he's going to come up just short of the first down. So this Miles going to play a little cat and mouse here with Joker Phillips. But you see right there, nice job of getting some penetration. Mike Douglas, the redshirt freshman, in there on the tackle.
So here is the LSU punt team again. Brad Wing will punt it away, coming off an outstanding game at West Virginia. All 6 punts for West Virginia inside the 11-yard line last week. That stops at the 27-yard line for Mr. Wing. 42-yard punt. Only touchdown to this point came up on a 12-play drive for LSU. They're looking at 4th down and goal. They break the huddle with 12 players, but no flag. LSU would call a timeout. Jordan Jefferson comes into the game, and from 1 yard out, his first touch of the 2011 season is good enough for the first points of the contest. We have not seen Jefferson since. 1 play, 1 touchdown. There he is on the bench.
They get this game in hand. We're going to see Jordan Jefferson in the second half. But right now, Kentucky is not cooperating.
Newton. They tried to set up a little screen. LSU all over it. Newton had to just throw it at the feet of his intended receiver. Newton now 0 for 5.
And Jonathan George, the sophomore tailback, is the intended player there on the screen pass, and they sniff it out and read it well. And about 3 LSU defenders waiting on Jonathan George.
So now you're 2nd down and 10. Delay a game coming up against Kentucky.
Play of game, offense, number 12. 5-yard penalty. It remains 7 down.
And this is what they didn't want to do. They wanted to stay ahead of the chains and stay out of those long yardage situations. And now you find yourself 2nd down and 15. And LSU, they show on film they can come after you when it's long yardage situations like this.
Newton got a great arm, just throws it up in the air. Knocked away at the last moment. Outstanding defensive play from Harold Simon, the sophomore corner on LaRod King.
Well, there's another sophomore talented defensive back, and it's just one-on-one on the outside. Harold Simon working against LaRod King, and I'm going to get there and get to the highest point a little bit faster than you do. And they will just rotate defensive backs at that position, moving Tyrann Mathieu inside. You'll get Simon, you'll get some of Ron Brooks, Morris Claiborne. Very talented on the back end of the LSU Tigers. That's after losing Patrick Peterson.
On 3rd down and 15, Kentucky playing it safe. They'll lose a couple on that. Bring up a 4th down. LeVar Edwards.
It's tough to run against LSU. They've only given up 53 rushing yards a game, and that's 4th in the entire country. You know, it's amazing. They gave up 533 yards of offense last week, yet they're still 20th overall in total defense.
That is the end of the first quarter. LSU scores the lone touchdown of the first 15 minutes. The second 15 on the way. Number 1 LSU and Kentucky. Back in a moment. Kentucky's defense has played pretty well, but their offense has yet to move the chains. So the punt team on the field once again for the Wildcats. Look at those numbers, 12 plays, 12 yards.
Without a first down, Morgan Newton started this game 0 for 6.
A little rugby kick. Will settle it for 35, a 45-yard punt. Now time for a C-Spire conference call, and for that we'll look at our SEC ledger. And Of course, some games today will have an impact on some of those zeros you see in these records. Of course, a big one, Alabama and Florida, coming up later today. Auburn, South Carolina.
Well, the top two will have it settled before the day's over. They get it on against one another.
Big collision on Michael Ford as he gets a couple of yards, brought down by Mark Crawford, the big fella back on the field. He missed the first month of the season because of violation of team rules. And talking to Rick Minner, the defensive coordinator, asking how much is he going to play. He goes, we're going to throw the big fella in the fire.
Yeah, you need all the run stoppers that you can get your hands on, all hands on deck. And Mark Crawford certainly qualifies. Big body in the middle at 338. Got to show it to us on that play.
6'1", 338. Lee. Pass is incomplete near midfield. Ruben Randall thought he might have been bumped before the ball got there. No flag, and now you're looking at third down at 7.
Yeah, Mikey Benton, the safety, did a nice job in coverage. Mikey Benton, a walk-on who started the opening game of the season, and he's moved over from the corner position to safety during the spring, and he's had a nice transition, moving to the back end of the defense.
Alfred Blue stands to the right of Jarrett Lee. Over the middle, incomplete. A little bit high, but Russell Shepard had his hands on it. That was a dart from Jarrett Lee.
And that's one, if you're Jarrett Lee, you want to have back, because you can throw Russell Shepard a little bit flatter with this route. You'll see him get open in the middle of the field. There's a lot of room there. It doesn't have to be up the field. You can flatten him out with a throw away from the defender, or between them, running away from the trail defender. It's a little bit easier throw. It's certainly an easier catch for Russell Shepard.
Good high punt taken by Burton. Fair catch at the 22-yard line. So once again, the Kentucky D doing a nice job here against the #1 ranked team in the country. Can the Cats get a little bit of offense? We'll find out. Tyrann Mathieu, 5'9", 175, sophomore to New Orleans, Louisiana. It's today's Real Deal, brought to you by Wendy's. Coming off a great week against West Virginia. Walter Camp, National Defensive Player of the Week. What a talent that young man has.
What Les Miles called him yesterday, the honey badger? He says he's not the biggest, not the fastest, but he just does everything.
And nothing bothers him. Let's go to Dari for an update. Dari.
All right, guys, back to Arkansas, Texas A&M, 21-7 Aggie lead. Here come the Razorbacks. Tyler Wilson and Jarius Wright, who has 7 catches now and 165 yards. That got them inside the 1. Next play, touchdown. Aggies lead now just 7.
Thank you, Dari.
He's a little short on endurance.
There's Clemens. Ran right into a LSU Tiger defensive wall at the 26-yard line. Maybe a half a yard. Sam Montgomery and Michael Brockers, part of that front four. Boy, John Chavis, when we started asking him about his defense, he just, where are your strengths? He says, I feel pretty good. Right, I feel pretty good. We got a lot of depth. We just need to make sure we play with the same kind of passion and intensity that we have been practicing with. And here you go as an example of that. Nowhere to go for the guys in blue.
Well, one of the things on film when you watch LSU, Dave, is that they don't show you the same defensive front 2 consecutive plays. They move all over the place. They'll rush 4, they'll rush 3, they'll bring a linebacker. And Morgan Newton, he's got to know they can get to you with just 4 guys. The ball has got to come out. And incompletion, sometimes a lot better than taking a sack.
Another punt for Ryan Tidlachka. End over end. And we'll settle at the 36-yard line. Both punters have now actually 9 total punts in this game. 5 for Kentucky, 4 for LSU. That one travels 41 yards.
We're kind of tracking things defensively because this unit from Kentucky, they play a lot of snaps. Here, you look at the amount of snaps that they played, 69 in the first game of the year. And they went up from there, and they hadn't played a game under 60 snaps defensively yet. That's a lot of plays for the opponent's offense to score points. A lot of opportunities.
Here's Russell Shepard. He gets popped out of bounds. No flag, but a first down for LSU. A gain of 13, and Nellums with the hit.
When we talked to the coaching staff, they wanted to try to get Russell Shepard involved early, and they like to run him on those speed sweeps. And last week, didn't get him the football enough. He's one of their fastest players. He clocked at about 4.35 or so with a 41.5-inch vertical jump. Talented young player.
Lee going right back to Shepard through his hands. A little bit high, but nonetheless, I think a pass if he asked Shepard, he should have had it.
Yeah, Shepard's a guy, he was a great quarterback in high school at Cy Ridge High School. I mentioned one of the fastest players on this LSU football team. At times, when you watch him on film, he seems to still be in that transition of going from quarterback to wide receiver.
Andre, LSU dropped 7 passes to this point. Lee 5 out of 15. Make it 5 out of 16. No flags.
Russell Shepard just slipped. Might be been the free safety working in coverage and just lost his footing. A lot of room. A big hole there for Jarrett Lee to put this football into. And you see there, he's trying to actually flatten Russell Shepard out, so that the other safety over the top can't make a play. Here once again, Dave, 3rd down and long.
This is the 30th play for LSU this afternoon. Kentucky's only had 15 offensive plays. Here's some pressure. LSU picks it up. Odell Beckham Jr. still on his feet. To the 20, gets a block. He will take it to the end zone. Touchdown LSU, 51 yards. The true freshman. What a talent.
Mom and Dad, they were talented. His mother was an All-American sprinter for this LSU track team, and Dad was a roommate of Shaq when he was playing basketball here at LSU. And they didn't deny the youngster any of that talent. Well, he has got some skills.
One after is up and good, so Kentucky's lead is now 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham Jr. In high school, he caught 50 passes as a senior. 19 of them went for touchdowns. This is his 2nd touchdown as a collegiate. Today's SEC Network game is brought to you by Groove Caulk by GE. Never sticky or stringy. Never cracks or crumbles. Always paintable. Champion, it's how you play. The Chevy Silverado HD, Motor Trend's 2011 Truck of the Year. Verizon, America's largest and most reliable wireless network. Ameriprise Financial, more within reach. and by the 4th annual DirecTV Charleston Classic, presented by Foster Grant. There is the man of the moment, Odell Beckham Jr. Boy, you should just see the twinkle in the eye of Les Miles when he talks about that young man.
Took the words right out of my mouth. They are just beside themselves with joy. We were talking about Odell Beckham Jr.
James Hairston with the kick. Short one taken at the 12-yard line by Winston Guy, and he's out over the 25 to the 27. Andre back to the touchdown, and Odell Beckham Jr. did most of the work.
Well, the weakness of the defense, 3-deep zone on the outside edges, and he's going to run a comeback and does it with the separation that gives you an opportunity to break a tackle. That's 1, 2, 3. He's going to make 4 guys miss. And then up the sideline, and they talk about how fast and speedy Odell Beckham is. I'll tell you what, it makes it easy on a quarterback, a guy that can run after the catch like that.
Looks like offsides against the kick team. And Kentucky asking for the re-kick.
Pretty good field position right around the 29-yard line. Kentucky.
Well, Beckham had a 52-yard touchdown reception against West Virginia and just added a 51-yarder.
See it right there, the offsides. It's a little bit too fast. I don't know, 29-yard line. I might take the ball, take the football there.
There is a pretty brisk breeze from right to left. So LSU kicking right into the wind, and I think that's what Joker Phillips is thinking in his head. Maybe another short kick, and we can get it out over the 30, maybe even further down the field.
Well, you got to watch the man at him. Does he mess around, get an onside kick here or something? He'll come up with a few tricks.
Same Wildcats of the league at the 10.
So Hairston will kick it off again, the true freshman out of Dallas, Texas, Winston Guy, along with Michael Bailey back for Kentucky. Better kick inside the 10. Here's Guy. Much better return for Kentucky out over the 40. So it pays off for Joker Phillips and company, a 33-yard return. As we take a look at some of the struggles of this Kentucky offense, Andre, and as you will notice here, there is no drive over 3 yards, or 3 plays.
3 plays, 3 and outs, 5 times there, and really look at it. It is a tough way to go, and we talked about how talented this LSU defense was. They are proving us right.
15 plays, 13 yards for Kentucky. Here's Clements. There's a big gainer. The first time they picked up double figures on a play this afternoon. That's a first down for Kentucky.
And this is something I thought, watching film on Kentucky's defense, that you could do. They leave a little bubble over the guard on the backside. You can start one way, they run the counter, and then they go into the bubble side. Break backs, start the running back one way on a stretch play and have him break it out the backside, or a counter, just like Kentucky did. West Virginia had some success doing it on the ground last week against LSU.
Took almost 20 minutes of game time for Kentucky to pick up their first down of the contest. Here's Clements. He'll lose a couple.
When you run to the front side of that, it's going to be tough, though.
Markevius Mingo led the way for LSU. Another one of those defensive ends that they can roll in and out.
We're kind of known, Dave, for his pass rushing skills, and was an all-state player Monroe High School, helping them to the state championship in 08. Good football player, good young football player.
Newton. Nothing. Just no room to run. Brandon Taylor finally cleans up the mess, and it's now 3rd down and 11.
Well, this is a situation, if you're Morgan Newton, you better have studied up the film, because they'll tip what they're going to do. Whether it's man, they are matched up head up on receivers. If it's zone, they're peeking inside, so you can buy yourself a little more time. If you know it's zone, I can take my time in my drop. If it's man-to-man, a route that's 15 yards better become 10, and everybody's clock better speed up against this LSU defense when they decide to go man, as they are right here. You see them locked up.
Comes a little pressure in the process. That pass is right through the hands of Thurl Simon. Could have and should have been intercepted. LaRon King was the intended target. But once again, here comes Ryan Tidlachka and the Kentucky punt team.
Thurl Simon, you called his name a couple of times. Good cover corner, just a sophomore. And you talk about recruiting well the last couple of years. You look at this sophomore class and then the freshman class. We talked to Les Miles yesterday, and he said, yeah, you know, we will play young players. We'll play freshmen. Not afraid to put them out there and let them go.
Another end-over-end kick. Matthew getting a little frustrated not being able to return any of these punts from Tidlachka, who's doing his job. Only a 34-yard punt, but backs up LSU inside the 15-yard line. Well, McAllister's Deli is giving 2 lucky guests each a Jeep Wrangler. Visit us on Facebook.com/TFreaks for official rules, entry forms, and great weekly tailgate prizes. Visit Facebook.com/TFreaks, and you could be a big game winner.
McAllister's well represented in the Southeast. We got lunch there a few times on the road trips.
Oh, sure. I think the original one's over in Oxford, Mississippi. Here's Alfred Blue. Out to the 20-yard line. Give him 6 on that carry. Andre, what do you make of this LSU offense? Obviously a big play a moment ago, but they haven't really seemed, in my layman's eyes, to be clicking today.
Patient offense, and they'll continue to run the football. Dave, there's so many components at that position that they just will wear you down. Eventually, they feel like they'll keep leaning on you with those big offensive linemen and eventually get the push they need to free up all these talented backs.
Greg Studrott, the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach.
Well, we talked to him. You talk about a guy that is just kid in a candy store with all this talent on offense.
Terrence McGee back in the game, getting quite a bit of work here in the first half for LSU at tailback. Haven't seen much of Spencer Ware since the opening couple of series. Over the 30-31, that's a gain of 7. And it's just mano-a-mano up front right now, and LSU winning in the battle the last 3 times.
Well, you saw that early in this football game, the success that Kentucky was having on first and second down, and now LSU starting to get a little bit of that push that I talked about. When you're on the field, as much as this defensive unit, you have to get a little winded.
Second down and just 2 yards out of the eye. There goes McGee, and he will scrape his way to the 35. And I think that will be good enough for the first down. Ronnie Sneed with his second tackle. 7:20 to go here in the second quarter, and LSU up a couple of scores.
One of the few teams left in the country that will just line up in the true eye and come right at you.
Yeah, it was apparent when Les Miles grabbed my board, my cheat sheet with all my notes on it, and he said, "You don't have anything written down about our fullbacks. We play the fullback. We also play the tailback." Alfred Blue out near midfield. 14 yards, but you know, Les Miles, a guy that loves that smash mouth football, and the fullback a key component in leading the charge of that running game.
Yeah, and there was James Stampley, the fullback, the senior fullback at 5'10", 239. You watch him there open a hole, and a nice cutback by Alfred Blue, who seems to have gotten the hot hand of the tailbacks here in this first half.
Stampley, Copeland, Hilliard, the 3 fullbacks that we'll see quite a bit. Lead the way, a gain of 4 for Alfred Blue.
Copeland is just a massive young man and was moving moved over from the defensive line to fullback early his freshman year. Big, solid guy, 6'1", 280 pounds.
Nothing working for Terrence McGee.
We talked to Greg Studger. I said, we asked him, what's different about this offense this year? He says, well, we have a play-action pass off every run that we have in the running game. We know that they want to run the football. Well, you become dangerous when you can show run and then pull the football and throw it down the field to these talented wide receivers instead of lining up in a sprint all the time to throw the football.
Little slant. Ruben Randall was the intended receiver, so on the incomplete pass, it's now 4th down and 5, and here comes what appears to be the LSU punt team back on the field.
You just wonder how long, when you have somewhat of the success that Kentucky's had here in the first half defensively and playing so many plays, that the frustration doesn't start to settle in for the defensive unit. The offense can't move the football.
Wing will hit at the goal line and bounce into the end zone. So the Kentucky offense back on the field, trailing by a couple of touchdowns with 5:14 to go in the first half. A lot of activity going on in the SEC. We'll talk about it when we come back to Baton Rouge right here on the SEC Network. It is a gorgeous day in Baton Rouge as the #1 team in America leads Kentucky 14-0. Let's take a look at our Ameriprise Financial SEC headlines. Of course, Texas A&M officially joining the SEC July 1st, and will play football next season in the SEC. Of course, playing Arkansas today in Dallas. Auburn, South Carolina coming up. Can the Gamecocks, who have played ugly football at times, continue their unbeaten streak? And Alabama and Florida tonight at 8 o'clock. Andre, you say watch out for the Gators.
Yeah, I mean, they secretly went about their business all off season and opened the season at 4-0, going into the swamp. It'll be a tough game for Alabama tonight.
Been a tough game for Kentucky's offense today. They have run 19 plays and picked up 23 yards. They can add some more to that. Clemens, who has 22 of Kentucky's 23 yards before that play, will pick up 17 and move the chains.
I really think Josh Clemens is going to be a good football player for Joker Phillips. A guy that has some speed about him, a little shiftiness, and enough size to take the pounding here in the SEC, and you just got to keep him healthy, and true freshman, bring him along.
A couple of tight ends in the game. Here's Clemens trying to stretch it, and that's just not going to happen very often with that defensive line and secondary. Loss of a yard. Sam Montgomery with his 4th tackle, 2 of those behind the line.
And they're shaded that way, so that's the strength of the defense. They get up the field and they can get off blocks pretty good. He just kind of lives in the back. A strong player, defensive tackle.
Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator for Kentucky, of course, longtime assistant in Knoxville with the Volunteers, worked alongside John Chavis, who's now the defensive coordinator at LSU. Those two matching wits today. And a flag comes in. Matt Rourke, the intended receiver. Matthew on the coverage, and a flag came in at the 38-yard line.
Working against Matthew and didn't get his head around enough, fast enough, and get the official call here.
Pass interference, defense, number 7. The penalty is 15 yards from the previous punt and includes automatic first down.
You could just tell he's itching to make a play, and He's flagged for pass interference right here. A little pushing, and then he gets his head. He does get his head around, but he had his hands on Rourke a little bit early, well past the 5 yards in which he could bump him or touch him.
Morgan Newton 0 for 7.
Here comes Matthew.
He'll run away from the corner blitz. Clemens will pick up 3. Brought down by Ryan Baker, who led the charge for LSU, one of those linebackers.
This drive so far for Kentucky in this football game. Nice couple of nice runs by Josh Clemens. Pass interference. Now Kentucky seems to have found a little rhythm here.
Newton overthrows both receivers. LaRod King, the deepest of the Kentucky wideouts.
And it's Larry Warford who had his hands full with Mingo. Mingo's able to get into the lap of Morgan Newton and not really allow him to step into that throw. He's trying to throw it early and continue the timing that's necessary to complete the pass, but that one sails on him. You see there the time of possession just being dominated by LSU.
Kentucky will take a timeout with 3:20 to go.
Timeout.
Andre,
Kentucky. Second timeout this half.
You're down 14 on the road. Are you in 2-down territory here? It's 3rd down and 8. You're at the 47.5-yard line.
I don't think so, because you can punt, trap, get them down inside the 15, 10-yard line, and your defense is played sound with the exception of one big play given up. So 2 scores down. I think you don't come up with a first down here on 3rd down. You punt and play defense.
Well, coming up on the C Spire halftime report, of course, Dari and Matt will take a look at some of those highlights. Busy day today, a lot of early games in the SEC. Texas A&M and Arkansas, Mississippi State, trying to pick up a win in the SEC. 0-2 heading to Athens. Of course, preview tonight's Alabama-Florida game as well. So a lot to talk about coming up. 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the game clock here from Baton Rouge. But 3rd down and 8 coming up now for Kentucky. 0 for 6 on 3rds. They'll bring 5. And that's enough to drop Morgan Newton. That's a loss of 4. Barkevius Mingo led the way.
That's squarely on the shoulders of Morgan Newton. He had Matt Rourke wide open in front of him, running an under route, and if he just puts it on him, Rourke could turn up the field and pick up the first down. You're going to see number 3 right there underneath. There he is. Give it to him. And then, now all of a sudden you hold it. The pass rush is in your face. You've got to expect on 3rd down to speed things up.
Lodgka will punt it away this time. Matthew able to get his hands on it. Dancing around. Out to the 21-yard line. We've got more exciting SEC football action coming your way next Saturday as the SEC's leading rusher, Marcus Lattimore, and the 10th-ranked South Carolina Gamecocks will play host to Kentucky. That's the Wildcats and the Gamecocks next Saturday at noon Eastern time right here on the SEC Network.
They thought they've seen some talented backs in Ware, Ford, Blue. Guy next week, we can do with 3 or 4 other guys. It takes 3 or 4 other guys to do.
Speaking of running back, Spencer Ware, we haven't seen him in a while. He's down on the sidelines. He went into the locker room a little while ago. He was back without a helmet, however. That's why we've seen a lot of Michael Ford, Alfred Blue, and even Terrence McGee getting some work today. A couple of yards that time for Michael Ford. Danny Trevathan with his 4th stop this afternoon. There's the SEC's leading tackler. Had a streak of 12 straight games with the double figures in tackles snapped last week against Florida. Only had 8. Has 50 on the season now.
You have 144 tackles in a season. That's a pretty good football player. But he plays with a great deal of speed and can track ball carriers down. He's good at the point of attack. and doesn't shy away from blocks.
Alfred Blue out over the 25 to the 28-yard line. That's a gain of 5. Well, for an update on Spencer Ware, let's go down to Kara.
Past director of athletic training, Jack Marucci, where Spencer Ware went. He went to the locker room late in the first quarter claiming he had trouble and some tightness in one of his legs. Marucci told me they're going to reevaluate him at the half and kind of decide what his prognosis is for the rest of the game.
Thank you, Kara. You see Spencer without his helmet. So they'll continue to run. Ford, Blue, and McGee. That time it was Alfred Blue. That's a gain of 2, and that'll be shy of the first down marker, which sits at the 31-yard line. 1:05 on the clock before halftime.
Definitely punt it here. Kentucky's going to take a timeout, but to save some clock, maybe put together something with 1:05 left here in the first half. But no doubt you punt the football. You don't want to give Kentucky a extremely short field in this position.
There's Joker Phillips. His defense has played pretty well. His offense has been stymied. Earlier today, we had a chance to get a look at Jordan Jefferson, reinstated to this team. Earlier this week, actually had 1 day of full practice with LSU. And he came in on a 4th down and goal from about the 2-foot line, and quarterback sneaked for a touchdown. His only touch today. Haven't seen him since, but he did get into the game for 1 play.
Coaches are happy to have Jordan Jefferson back, and said, you know, you never know what happens at that position, or through injury or whatever. They may have to depend on Jordan Jefferson going forward at some point in the season. So it's good to have the luxury. And then don't forget Zach Mettenberger, who transferred in, was once a Georgia signee, big, highly recruited guy. He's on tap to be the quarterback of the future.
Boy, a booming kick. Wow. From Brad Wing. Taken by Randall Burton. 50-yard punt. Eric Reed with a special teams tackle. But it has been a tumultuous 2 months, month and a half, if you will, for this LSU team in terms of what happened off the field on August 19th. Some players out past curfew involved in an off-campus bar fight. Les Miles had to discipline his entire team for basically for what some guys did, and involved in that fight. Allegedly, Jordan Jefferson and Josh Johns both arrested, both suspended from the team. Then earlier this week, a grand jury reduced the charges against Jordan Jefferson from a felony to a misdemeanor and dropped the charges altogether against Josh Johns. And this week reinstated, and that is where we are. And as Les Miles tells us in our meetings, you know, this team has overcome a lot. It wasn't just the tough, brutal schedule on the road, playing some very talented teams. It was handling that situation and keeping their eye on the prize. And he said a lot of it had to do with the fact that they played Oregon in week 1, and guys couldn't afford to not work as hard or lose their focus because of that.
Yeah, guys actually turned it up a notch and were even more focused and played harder, knowing that Oregon had never had an opener like that.
One-handed grab from LaRod King. He'll get out of bounds with 42 seconds on the clock. That's a gain of 12 and a first down.
Yeah, that's that same pass, Dave, that they had Matt Rourke on and just motion him down, and then there's the crosser, stick it on him, and a nice grab there by LaRod King, and the presence of mind to get out of bounds and save some clock.
First completion of the game for Morgan Newton. He is now 1 out of 10.
Well, I asked this week, I asked Randy Sanders, I asked Joker Phillips, would we see Maxwell Smith, the talented freshman quarterback who looked good last week in some mop-up duty against Florida.
There's Newton. Stays on his feet. Pass is caught, but going nowhere. There's Matt Rourke. Brian Baker runs him out of bounds. That'll stop the clock with 33 seconds left. And Kentucky, no timeouts remaining for the Wildcats. Today's First and 10 line brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota moving forward.
Second down, 2.
Sneaking into your screen.
Newton hit as he throws. They'll say he's down back at the 31-yard line. So credit LSU with a sack. Sam Montgomery, Barkevius Mingo. Again, those two have been hard to block for the Kentucky offensive line. The third sack of the afternoon.
Yeah, the one criticism you have on Morgan Newton sometimes is that, you know, the ball's held a little bit too long. But there, you got Mingo right in his face as you're at the top of your drop, and there's nowhere to really get rid of the football.
Well, that'll do it for the first half. Kentucky's defense came to play. Just haven't had any offense to match it. LSU has grinded out a couple of touchdowns. The highlight, though, was the 51-yard touchdown reception from Odell Beckham Jr. That is where we stand. 14-0, the number 1 ranked team in the country. First time they've been number 1 since the end of the 2000 campaign when they won the BCS National Championship. Let's check in with Kara.
Coach, what would you say was the biggest positive for LSU in that first half?
We didn't make any major mistakes. We moved the football a little bit on the ground, hit some big plays in the passing game. You know, teams are trying to gang up on our run, and we're taking advantage of them in the air.
What do you want to see improve in the second half?
I want the defense to continue to play like they're playing, maybe get a little bit more of the run going, and then balance on offense. I'll take a couple more scores.
Might we see more Jordan Jefferson?
Yeah, I think there's a chance that Jefferson will come in and play.
We'll watch for it. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Dave, back up to you. Good chance Jefferson will play in the second half.
Thank you, Karen. Florida's on the horizon. Get his feet wet, you might say. LSU defense throwing up a shutout here in the first half. They lead 14-0. Our recap has been brought to you by Groove Cough by GE. Back inside Tiger Stadium on an absolutely picture-perfect afternoon and a rare day game where the LSU Tigers, ranked number 1 in the country, lead Kentucky 14-0. Dave Neal alongside my partner Andre Ware. And Andre, some pretty good defense from Kentucky. Obviously, the offense has some real issues they need to work out here in the locker room, but LSU comes out here as the number 1 ranked team. That big bullseye's on their shirt again, but assess their offense for me, if you will. What did you make of their first 2 quarters of
Well,
play?
they had a lot of drops, and that's why Jarrett Lee's 6 of 18 in this football game. I mean, where you put the football right on a guy, and he's got to come up with some catches. But I thought overall they've run the football well, continued to pound, and they're right on course for what they want to do, which is wear you down and then take over later in the second half.
There's Jarrett Lee talking to his head coach, Les Miles, as LSU will kick it off to start the second half. And Jordan Jefferson telling Kara on the way to the locker room in the first half that we had, with a smile on his face, there's a good chance we will see Mr. Jefferson get more than 1 snap, which he had a quarterback sneak from the goal line. This Kentucky team in offense ran 28 plays, just 45 yards. Kick taken by Michael Bailey. Bailey out to the 30-yard line. Andre, let's take a look at today's Gulf Shores and Orange Beach playbook.
Well, go back to the touchdown pass from Jarrett Lee to Odell Beckham. The weakness of the defense on the outside edges, so they're going to beat it with a comeback on the outside. The separation is what allows Odell Beckham the opportunity to make a guy miss. The separation right there. Now the football on time. You see 1 missed tackle, and he ends up breaking about 3 more to get to the end zone.
So a change at quarterback for Kentucky as Maxwell Smith gets the start here in the second half. But let's go back to that last play.
Yeah, and then it's just athletic ability, Dave. 1 missed tackle right here. We talked about the separation, allow the missed tackle. The second one going to occur right there inside the numbers. Third one right there. And then now it's a foot race, and I got one more guy to make miss right here at the top before I just use the speed to get into the end zone. Bunch of missed tackles today by this Kentucky defense.
So here is the true freshman out of California. Andre, you said that, going back and looking at last week's tape, he gets his first action against Florida, even though it was late in the game in a blowout situation, 6 of 11, 49 yards. But what you saw on tape certainly sparked some interest.
Yeah, he got 27 snaps last week, and I thought he looked comfortable. He looked the part, the stage not too big for Maxwell Smith. And I thought, I was poking around with the coaches all week, and they were kind of secretive about if they were going to play him or not. But here he is early in the second half.
And Morgan Newton was just 2 out of 11 for 12 yards. And Smith dropped back at the 31-yard line. Actually got back to the original line of scrimmage. Sam Montgomery will pick up his 5th stop today.
It's another one of those where you got to get the football out. You don't see it, maybe pull it a little bit faster. Yeah, the presence in mind to get positive yards, Dave, not take a sack. He is a guy with all the tools at 6'4", 230, big arm, a live arm, a very talented young player that going to be the future at that position.
24 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions as a senior last year in high school. Here is Matthew out to the 33-yard line, a 52-yard punt. Time for our first half stats, brought to you by Bristol. Nothing like it. If you're Kentucky fans, turn your eyes. Just 12 yards passing, 33 on the ground, and you did not pick up a 3rd down conversion.
Yeah, 45 total yards and a half of football, and you're 0 for 7 on 3rd downs. Your quarterback sacked 3 times in the first half. Boy, that is a tough way to do business.
So Jarrett Lee will get the start here in the second half. Alfred Blue straight ahead, picks up 8. Well, coming out of the locker room, Kara had a chance to catch up with Joker Phillips. And what did the coach have to say, Kara?
He told his players they created a memory in that first half by going toe-to-toe with the #1 team in the country. The challenge to the Wildcats, how do you want that memory to end?
Well, they've got 2 quarters to figure out a way to make it in happily.
Yeah, I thought defensively they played solid football. They gave up 1 big play, which they wanted to avoid, giving up big plays in the passing game, and Beckham just made it seem like everybody missed on the defensive side of the ball. But with the exception of that play, they played some solid football.
Terrence McGee with the carry, gain of a yard.
Well, this is where an LSU team can start to feed that monster that goes about 4 players deep at tailback. Rough there on the stop, but they can wear you down if you don't have the defensive depth on the line to kind of control things and keep fresh players rolling in.
And Wilson on the
big offensive line that's got a lot of talent. Chris Falk, probably their best player up front, who's just a sophomore.
Because Mitch Joseph, the tight end, in motion. They'll run that way. And McGee takes it to midfield, a gain of 3. And that'll bring up a 3rd down. And a little bit over 5 yards to go. And we told you the first half, Spencer Ware got some carries early in the first quarter, then disappeared. That's because he went into the locker room and didn't know if we'd see him again. Jack Marucci, the head athletic trainer for LSU, saying he kind of tweaked the leg a little bit, and no helmet for Spencer, so his day may be done.
He's a good player that really kind of got a leg up on the competition in spring, where he went for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns in their spring game.
Garrett Lee lofts it up, looking for Shepard. One official says he made the catch, one said no. I'll go with the one who said yes. Russell Shepard, 22-yard gain.
I told you earlier, he had a 41.5-inch vertical leap, and here is where he shows it. Climbing the ladder, nice touch on the football by Jarrett Lee, and that one looks close. Very close along the sideline.
Gives the guys in the replay booth an opportunity to take a closer look at that. Rocky Good, our replay official today, former referee in the league for a long time, and a real good one at that. Out of the I formation, here's the handoff to Michael Ford. He'll get 7, and we're seeing a little bit of what LSU can do, and that is just run it right down your throat.
Yeah, they just continue to wear you down. Will Blackwell, a talented senior right guard, and Alex Hurst, a big guy on the outside. At right tackle at 6'6", 340 pounds. All those guys up front, as I mentioned, they can just kind of continue to lean on you, and then by deep into the third, fourth quarter, well, they can have your way with some talented tailbacks.
Once again, out of the eye. Nothing fancy, Andre. It's just,
here it is, stop it.
Used to run in 24 power, baby. It's simple. That was all you needed.
Fullback leading you through there. And big James Stampley leading the way. And a couple of missed tackles. Ridge Wilson right there. He escapes that tackle and continues on. But that's what they do. And Ford comes out. They check another tailback in and just keep it rolling.
Well, they just interchange Ford, Blue, McGee. One after the other. Copeland now at fullback. 280-pounder. Christian Coleman may be the guilty party again for Kentucky. Already one offsides today. The true freshman out of Milan, Tennessee.
They had to do some adjusting up front with T-Bob Hebert out the left guard. They moved Blackwell over to left guard today, and Joshua Williford got the starter right guard.
Offside. Defense. The defensive player was in the neutral zone and caused the offense to react. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Boy, you've mentioned it. They just run one guy after another out there to carry the football for LSU. Look at the guys that have had their hands on the ball today.
Yeah, Alfred Blue has had a nice afternoon. McGee, as you mentioned, Ford. Shepard on a speed sweep. And Spencer Ware had his share of carries early before exiting the ball game with a leg injury.
First down and 5. Alfred Blue, no gain on the play. And, you know, that's one of the things that Les Miles told us yesterday when we talked about his running game. He says, guys, our third team guy, Alfred Blue, could start with just about anybody in the country, and he's running third team for us.
All these backs could really, you know, go somewhere and be the first string running back in a lot of places. I mentioned earlier Kenny Hilliard, who is a talented true freshman that ran for over 8,600 yards his high school career and 106 touchdowns. Tough to find carries for Hilliard with Blue, Ford, and Ware in front of him.
So now it's second down and still 5 yards to go. A couple of tight ends in the game. Here's a little toss sweep. Here's Blue. He should have enough for the first down. He picks up 6 yards. Ridge Wilson with his 7th stop. And a flag comes into the end zone.
A nice block by J.C. Copeland, the fullback, to kind of free things up. 280 pounds working against Tyler Wyndham, who goes about 264 as a defensive lineman. Doesn't face fullbacks of that caliber every week.
After the play was over, personal foul, defense number 46. Penalty is half the distance to goal. First down.
Ronnie Sneed.
Oh, the shortest penalty they'll have all year. Ball's already on the 1. It goes to about the half-inch line.
So first and goal from inside the 1. 10th play of this drive. Alfred Blue, touchdown. That is just an old-fashioned run it down your throat statement drive by LSU.
I think maybe one pass completed on the drive to Russell Shepard. Everything else was lining up, coming downhill out of the I formation. And Alfred Blue caps it off with a with a 1-yard touchdown run.
Point after is up and it's good. Alfred Blue today getting a lot of work. 13 carries. The last one from a yard out gives LSU a 21-point lead. Today's SEC Network game is brought to you by the new Capital One Cash Card for the people who want 50% more cash. AT&T, rethink possible. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, where SEC families come to play. Direct Auto Insurance. Visit your local store or directgeneral.com for amazing rates and great service. Vizio, delivering entertainment freedom for all. And by Woodman of the World. That is the eye of the tiger. Being painted yesterday before the contest this afternoon. That is a nice design. Ford and Blue, Ware, all getting together, celebrating the fact that this team is
a lot of places it wouldn't work where you have that much talent at one position. Les Miles does a nice job of managing each guy's playing time, and they all cheer for one another when they're in the football game.
Just got word, by the way, Spencer Ware's day is done. Caution. We will keep him out of this one. Michael Bailey will take a knee in the end zone. Speaking of running backs, time now for a look at SEC Greats, brought to you by Regions Bank. Don't miss your chance to hang out with SEC Greats this season on the Regions SEC Tour. How about Kevin Falk? Back in the late 90s, was a sensational player, 3-time All-SEC performer, All-American, LSU's all-time leading rusher, finished 3rd in his career.
Wait a long time for the Patriots. Took it right to the next level.
Max Smith stays in the game at quarterback for Kentucky. That's a gain of 5 by Josh Clemens.
Quarterback, and the task at hand for him is to get it out of his hands quickly. A lot of that can be determined pre-snap read, give you a pretty good idea on where you're going with the football before the ball is snapped.
Clemens picks up the first down at the 32. Loose football.
I'll say he was down.
They will say he's down at the 33-yard line. Eric Reed with the hit for the Tigers.
He gets a nice block on the left side by Stuart Hines. Number 70, he and Chandler Burton, maybe they're arguably their best offensive linemen. No success running the football along the left side. It's Stuart Hines there, team captain.
Clemens to the 34. Back to Maxwell Smith for a moment. You know, he originally signed with Kentucky back in the spring of 2010. There were so many guys on scholarship. He agreed to gray shirt, so he enrolled in January, played in spring practice last year, and of course all fall camp as well. So he's been around the program more than just being a true freshman, which he's listed as.
Coaches say he's just got a good vibe about him. A guy that, you know, makes you think he knows what's going on and he can handle everything.
Ron Brooks couldn't handle that, nearly intercepted. Looking for Brian Adams, sophomore receiver.
And he had Lerod King open, little swing route out there. You use your eyes, take the defenders inside, and then running wide open in the flat was Lerod King. Try to force one.
Today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, moving forward.
Third down situation, what they wanted to avoid. 3rd down and long.
Sneaking to the outside. Matt Rourke trying to get that first down line. Does he get it? I think he may have with a second effort. Harold Simon. And Matthew on the coverage.
You know, sometimes it's simple, Dave. Just throw to the open receiver. When you're looking inside, you're trying to force it, you hold on to the football, you take a shot in the back, and there it's just giving Matt Roy. He didn't throw the football to the first down marker. He just put it on a receiver and allowed him to run after the catch. The result is a first down.
That's their first third down conversion of the day. They're now 1 out of 9. Here's Clemens to the 47-yard line. That's a gain of 4. Vinny Logan trips him up.
We're right here. Hold it right there. He's going to have an opportunity to cut it on the backside. You see the bubble right there. Start one way, and there's the hole right there in the backside. If you can just have some patience, or a coach upstairs identifies that, you get it relayed down. If the player doesn't see it, at least tell him that it's there. That's the weakness of the LSU defense against the run. Start one way, and the backside, you can hit some nice runs offensively.
Second down and 5. You can make a third down and 10. Vinny Logan, loss of 4. 4th sack of the day for the Tigers.
Kind of in that gray area where receivers don't really know whether to run hitches or fade it against press coverage. They got caught in the middle, and it forced Maxwell Smith to hold on to the football. A situation where if it's not there right away, throw it away, and third down and 5 is a whole lot easier to pick up than third and 9.
LSU bringing the heat. Loose football. Scooped up at the 20. Matthew will score.
I'm telling you, if this guy isn't mentioned in Heisman conversations, you got to vote. You're crazy. The guy just makes plays. If there's ever a year where a defensive player would win the Heisman, it's Tyrann Mathieu right here, scooping it up. He's just notorious, has a feel for just making plays, and then when he does, has a nose for the end zone. And I don't do it. I don't go out on a limb in October talking Heisman, but that's how impressed I am with Tyrann Mathieu.
LSU brought nearly everybody. They got to Smith. Ron Brooks forced the fumble. Tyrann Mathieu, he knows what to do with it. 28-zip LSU. You could use a trip to the national championship. Why not?
Why not?
You look at Tyrann Mathieu. He's hoping he gets a trip to the national championship. This guy has been unbelievable. Just a sophomore, involved in a touchdown moments ago and forcing that fumble. And we'll show you what happened. But he just set a new school record with his fourth fumble of his career, and he's only played 18 games. Michael Bailey hit at the 23-yard line. Andre, let's go back and take a look at Tyrann Mathieu.
Well, some guys have a knack for making plays. You see him here lined up on the outside, and watch him propel himself into the air to leap and knock the football out of the hands of Maxwell Smith. Then he retrieves it and finds the end zone. The Honey Badger strikes again. Right here, elevating, knocking the football out. And then he redirects himself, plants the foot, goes, picks it up, and returns it for a touchdown. Unbelievable.
Gain of 3. Josh Clemens with the carry. You know, Les Miles said it. Some guys just have better ball skills than others. And obviously he's at the head of the class when it comes to ball skills.
Well, you talked about his size as well. He's just 5'9", 175 pounds. But Les Miles told us, he said, when he looks in the mirror, he's 6'6", 300 that can run 4'3". That's how the guy plays, and you're not going to, there's no fear in it.
Clemens out over the 30 to the 31. That's a gain of 4. Let's go downstairs.
Andre, not only does he see the biggest, baddest dude on the planet, the thing that Les Miles loves about Mathieu is that just like his predecessor, Patrick Peterson, he plays with a smile on his face, and I have seen that down here today.
And he admires Patrick Peterson so much, he changed his number from 14 to 7 for this season.
On 3rd down and a yard. I don't know that Kentucky got it. They'll say no gain on the play, and if there was, it's about 6 inches. So Josh Downs picks up his first tackle for LSU, the defensive tackle.
You know, Dave, and part of building a program is when you have stars that reach back and help the younger players to become better players. And that's what Patrick Peterson did with Tyrann Mathieu as well as Morris Claiborne, the other corner on the other side. Really taught them how to be good college football players. And I'll tell you what, Matthew's taken it and run with it, and it's on a different level.
Traditional punt from Tidlotka this time. Mathieu will let it hit at the 30, and it will bounce out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Timeout on the field. 28-0. LSU out in front. Well, if Texas A&M is going to come in the league, they better get ready, and I think they're playing pretty well. I don't want to put a whole lot of stock in one game, but
right out of the gate early, 2 weeks in a row. And
Jordan Jefferson in at quarterback. Michael Ford with the carry. Winston Guy brings him down. A loss of 5, but here's Jordan Jefferson. 2:25 to go in the 3rd quarter, and there's a good chance he'll see more than a couple of snaps here.
You never know when you're going to need the other guy, and we want to get him some snaps, get him acclimated to game speed. And talking with Les Miles yesterday, he looked sharp in practice. The guy that had an outstanding spring throwing the football. The numbers weren't there in the spring game, but he had an outstanding spring working with Steve Cragthorpe.
There goes Ford. He'll pick up 7 more yards.
And it really is a thing of beauty to watch him throw the football. I watched him during warm-up, and you talk about the ball just jumping off his hand, tight spiral. You see the numbers there. And I think that those don't tell the tale, though. The kid just wins football games. You got to do responsible things as a leader and the quarterback of your football team.
This is the dimension that Les Miles loves from Jordan Jefferson. A little run game to the near side. Will pick up the first down on 3rd down and 9. He'll pick up 11.
Now, this is what you may need at some point in the season when defenses are playing tough and you need to go 11 on 11. Jordan Jefferson certainly gives you the ability to do that when he pulls it down and makes plays with his legs.
Toyota's 1st and 10 line brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota moving forward. Jefferson keeps it. Nice cut. First down again at the 46-yard line of Kentucky. That's 12 more yards. Ronnie Snead, the middle backer, picks up the tackle, but Jordan Jefferson ran for 419 yards last year.
You know, some guys, Dave, to get settled into a football game, they need an easy pass at that position, a little slant, maybe a hitch, a completion to get them going. And Jordan Jefferson, it's a run and some contact, and then the butterflies go away, and now all of a sudden it's like that walk in the park again.
A couple of big hits down on the field. Loss of 1 as Michael Ford hit by Mr. Common. I love that name, Mr. Common.
Well, he's their best run stopper. He redshirted a couple of years ago and was academically ineligible last season. And, you know, I mentioned he's a great run stopper. He had shoulder surgery this spring, but he's 100% now, and the coaches love it.
My boys might be able to handle that name instead of me going, that'd be Mr. Where do you? See, they could get it with him, Mr. Cobble. LSU wearing that #1 ranking quite well today. Up 28-0. 4th quarter football on the other side. About to start the 4th quarter. Kentucky up 28-0 over the Kentucky Wildcats. Trying to take a look at our Haviland defensive shield, and those top 5 defenses in the country Those are the top 6 on that board, but
that top one is just mind-boggling. Stanford's stuffing the run.
3 of those in the SEC, however. Here's Jefferson. Big collision at the 43-yard line. He'll pick up 3 yards. Christian
Jefferson
Coleman
carried the ball right side.
hit Jefferson as he cut it back to the middle of the field. Jefferson mentioned his rushing last year. 450 yards on the ground for the quarterback. That's a new school record last year that he set running the football. And
we may be watching something develop right before our eyes. And Jarrett Lee coming back in the game, so maybe we watch LSU the remainder of the season go to a 2-quarterback system, or just putting something on film for opponents to really have to prepare for.
So Jarrett Lee now on 3rd down will throw over the middle. Incomplete. Jarvis Landry actually, somebody lost a shoe down there at the 20. I think it was Landry.
He's the other true freshman. He and Odell Beckham. Beckham is really coming to his own, and following right behind him is Jarvis Landry, who the coaches are really, really impressed with. He's really starting to get it.
Burton is deep.
Brad Wing will punt. This one hits at the 3. It'll bounce into the end zone. Timeout on the field. LSU's up 28-0. Back in a moment. Well, there's a flag on the play, so we'll keep it here for just a moment.
Guy having a bunch of fun today.
During the kick, holding on the return team. The penalty is half the distance from spot the foul. 1st down.
So Kentucky will be backed up when we return to Tiger Stadium.
LSU leads Kentucky 28-0 early in the 4th quarter at Tiger Stadium. Carrot Capuano welcoming you back. All season long, Champion Athletic Wear is proudly showcasing stadium traditions around the SEC. Here at LSU, one of the fiercest live mascots in the nation, Mike the Tiger. This is the 6th Royal Bengal Tiger to represent the home team. The first started his reign back in 1936. Mike the 6th came into the role before the start of the 2007 National Championship season. Visit Champion on Facebook and show us your game face for a chance to be featured in a future broadcast. Champion, it's how you play. Dave, would you believe he weighs 470 pounds?
I'd believe it.
Yes.
He's big.
Prior to the snap, false start, 67, offense. Penalty half the distance from the goal. Remains 1st down.
Well, this is a double whammy for Kentucky. They had the punt sail into the end zone. They should have brought it out to the 20. But a hold on the punt was at the 10-yard line. That's a spot foul. So half the distance from there, put it back at the 5, and now the offsides moves it back 2.5 more yards. I mean, it just keeps getting from bad to worse for the Cats. Here's Smith in the end zone. The intended receiver was his tight end, Tyler Robinson, but Kendrick Adams put the pressure on Smith. Welcome to SEC football, Maxwell Smith.
He's improved tremendously. Kendrick Adams, and a good pass rusher off the edge. Now in his 2nd year as a starter.
Boy, Tigers are licking their chops right now. 2nd down and a dozen. Jonathan George picks up 8. Ryan Baker and Eric Reed converge on the tackle for LSU. That'll bring up a 3rd down, and we'll call it maybe 4.
Well, George does a nice job of getting some breathing room for Maxwell Smith here on 3rd down and 4, as you mentioned. A little easier to pick it up and move the chains if you're in 3rd and medium than 3rd down and long, where they have spent most of this football game.
Pressure again. Incomplete, looking for Matt Rourke. And the LSU defense holds again. That is now 43 plays, 59 yards for Kentucky.
Yeah, that's the same play that Morgan Newton had Matt Rourke open on earlier in the game, and they come back with it with Maxwell Smith and still unable to throw the little under route to Rourke. And now facing a punting situation. Before that drive, Dave, that was 59 total yards for Kentucky, 86 return yards. So in a rough day offensively for the Wildcats.
Odell Beckham Jr. back to return this punt. Tidlotchka, his 10th punt of the day, goes out of bounds. Where will they spot it? They're now at midfield, and it's in back at the 47-yard line, a 36-yard punt. McAllister's Deli is giving 2 lucky guests each a Jeep Wrangler. Visit us on Facebook.com/TFreaks for official rules, entry forms, and great weekly tailgate prizes. Visit Facebook.com/TFreaks, and you could be a big game winner. Jarrett Lee checks in at quarterback. Tailback, Alfred Blue. A little bit of an offset eye. That'll be 11 yards. How about the block from James Stampley, the fullback, along with Will Blackwell?
Yeah, they're opening things up now and really starting to wear on this Kentucky defense, which is right on par with the game plan that was implemented by this LSU offense. Now defensively, Kentucky played their 59th snap on defense.
Gain of 2 for Alfred Blue.
Alfred Blue.
Lewis got a little wiggle to him as well. He's a big guy, 6'2", 215 pounds. But boy, can he change direction as well.
He reminds me physically, looking at him, a little bit of Joseph Adai.
Yeah, yep. Good looking player.
Terrence McGee, the tailback McGee to the 26-yard line. A gain of 7.5, maybe 8 when it's all said and done. And Winston Guy now in double figures with 10 tackles.
Well, I bet practice is fun to watch at LSU when you get on a Tuesday afternoon and you got Ware and Ford, Blue, and McGee, all those backs going at it. There's always competition. I mean, you look at the depth chart and it changes weekly and it keeps guys on their toes. And you really have to be a good practice player as well, because you'll find yourself down a notch with a guy behind you just nipping at your toes or at your heels trying to get your job.
Little play fake on 3rd down. Jarrett Lee, pass caught. Odell Beckham Jr. inside the 5, a 23-yard pickup. It'll be 1st and goal, LSU.
Yeah, Anthony Mosley slips. He gets a move thrown on him that causes him to slip down. Beckham, another big play down the field.
Tell you what, Andre, that almost looks like
he had the ball taken away from him, because Mosley's arm is between the chest of Beckham and the football. We may have to take a look at this.
No ruling from Ken Williamson yet. There's a stoppage in play. Don't know if Joker Phillips called a timeout to challenge the play, or if this is up from
The previous play is under further review as to who possessed the ball.
So it's coming from the replay guys. Rocky Good leading that charge.
Initially, I thought Beckham had the football, but as they come to the ground, it looked as though Mosley's arm was underneath the football and the chest of Beckham, and I think that's an interception.
I agree with you.
I think that's going to be overruled and going the other way.
I don't think Beckham ever had possession of the football.
Yep. That's right. If anybody had possession there longer than the other guy was Mosley. So I think this one's going to be overturned. A nice job of recovering because he'd slipped down initially. And presence in mind to pop up and locate Beckham. And then what we believe is an interception, come away with a pick. Jared Lee was a little late. He's a little earlier with that football and leads Beckham on out. Leads him to the end zone. We're not having this discussion.
Well, Beckham's going to have to learn to fight for that football a little bit. Help your quarterback out.
After further ado, ruling on the field stands.
Wow.
Kentucky is not charged with a timeout.
Well, that's 2 occasions today I've disagreed with the officials. That's tough.
Well, because of that, we'll call it our Good Hands play of the day. Brought to you by Allstate.
Right there, the football's not possessed. And the hands, forearms underneath the football, resting on the chest of Odell Beckham. I don't know how you rule that a catch. I really don't.
However you look at it, it's 1st and goal inside the 5 for LSU. In the I formation, Terrence McGee, a couple of tight ends. Here is McGee working the left side. They'll stop him just shy of the goal line.
McGee runs hard. Not quite the size of the other guys that we've seen today, but he runs physical. Big, physical runner. A smaller guy.
Here's McGee again. This time he gets in. So the freshman out of Franklinton, Louisiana, picks up his first LSU touchdown on the ground.
And big J.C. Copeland, the fullback, throws a big block in there to get McGee into the end zone. All 280 pounds of him, and I think you could follow that big guy in there and score.
Alabama's point after is up and good. So Terrence McGee, high school quarterback, led his club to a 4A state title, hoping to lead LSU to a national title. We will come back, talk about the top 25. Oklahoma, Alabama, certainly in the mix. LSU sitting in the top spot in the latest polls, jumping over Oklahoma and Alabama and leading here 35-0. Andre, your thoughts about that top 5 right now?
Well, I like where things are, and certainly it's going to be settled in a couple of weeks when LSU faces Alabama, but the 2 teams on that list are one team there that I really, really like, Wisconsin Badgers, and they're going to get it on with the Cornhuskers later today. But Russell Wilson, the addition of Russell Wilson to Wisconsin really has them kind of in the dark horse role as a potential national champion contender.
Harrison to kick it off for LSU. At the 8-yard line goes Michael Bailey. Bailey to the 30 and drop there. Well, we'd like to recognize our friends at Allstate for their charitable contributions across the country. Since 2005, Allstate has donated more than $2.4 million through the Good Hands Field Goal Net program to benefit University General Scholarship funds. Morgan Newton back in the game at quarterback for the Wildcats. That's Kentucky trying to avoid a shutout. They haven't been shut out since October of 2006. Who did it? LSU, 49-0. Of course, the following year, 2007, is when Kentucky had to go to triple overtime and knocked off the #1 ranked LSU Tigers. It's an interesting matchup, and of course you go back to 2002, and it was the Bluegrass Miracle for LSU. Marcus Randall, the Devery Henderson in Commonwealth Stadium.
Some good football games between these two teams over the years.
Football out to the 47-yard line. We mentioned that 07 game, and that was the last time these two clubs met. October 17th, #1 versus number 17. Game tied 27-all in the third quarter. After teams in the third overtime, after the teams traded touchdown and field goals, Woodson 7-yard TD pass to Steve Johnson put UK up, but then LSU and Charles Scott stopped on 4th and 2. Wildcats win it 43-37. What a thrilling game. Andre Woodson, of course, working on this Kentucky staff right now as a graduate assistant.
I think Andre Woodson has a very bright future as a coach. Certainly with this offense where he understands what's asked. He works directly with Morgan Newton on a lot of occasions. It's an asset to have right there, a guy that is recently connected to your program, is willing to come back and help out.
I mentioned graduate. He's trying to get his undergraduate degree. Should have that in December. So everything went wrong on that play. People jumping. Bad snap. Andre, back to that top 10, the AP top 10. One team that just shocks you because they haven't played a pretty football game yet, and I don't know what you get points-wise for playing pretty football, but South Carolina is sitting there at number 10, and you're just kind of scratching your head after watching them play a little bit.
Offside. Defense, number 89. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
What are your thoughts about South Carolina? I mean, they are among the elite.
Marcus Lattimore. Those are my thoughts. Alshon Jeffrey. Talent beyond belief. I mean, just a solid team. You don't get points for style points for wins. You just win and keep going from week to week. And we'll get a chance to see them next weekend.
Newton. Batted in the air, almost picked off, incomplete. Matt Rourke, the intended target. Matt Rourke, 6'5" receiver, just can't hold on to it.
Struggles continue. And I don't know if you, under duress, if you can throw a better pass than that one, and should have been caught.
Second down,
4 of 18, 27 yards through the air for the Kentucky quarterbacks. Well, that didn't work. Thurl Simon, loss of 5.
Well, they are talented, and we talked to John Chavis, the defensive coordinator. He said, we thought we could be pretty good in the secondary, even with the departure of Patrick Peterson, who was the #1 first-round pick of the Arizona Cardinals. But you start looking at Eric Reed and Brandon Taylor. A lot of guys play a lot of snaps on the back end. And Matthew and Claiborne, playmakers.
Newton will run with the football. Morgan, first down at the 31-yard. Loose football, I believe. But he hold on to it. Gain of 13. If it sticks, comes away with the football.
Well, the quarterback run seems to be, with the exception of maybe a couple of runs by Josh Clemens, the best avenue in terms of being successful on the ground. Morgan Newton tucking the football, and he's picked up a couple of first downs running the football.
DeMarco Robinson came up with that football to keep the drive alive for Kentucky. Their best drive of the day with 7:50 2:15 to play in the contest. Here's Clemens, a little inside handoff, inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line. Give him 3. The true freshman out of Fayetteville, Georgia. Playing on a bad hamstring, only a few snaps last week against Florida.
He's a good high school player, rushed for over 2,000 yards as a high school senior last year, and he was the player of the year in the state of Georgia, and that's no small accomplishment. Some pretty good football players out of the state of Georgia.
2nd down and 6. Clemens, he'll get a couple of yards. It's time for us to get another update. Dari, what's going on?
Oh, Arkansas, Texas A&M guys. Arkansas down 8. Here they come. Tyler Wilson to Kobe Hamilton. Hamilton hit and loses it. It goes into the end zone, and Jarius Wright recovers. They go for 2 and get it. It is 35-35.
Oh, that's amazing. 2 weeks in a row, A&M. They've had big leads going into the 4th quarter last week against Oklahoma State, and then this week, here comes the Razorbacks of Arkansas.
On 3rd down and 6, Newton. Pass caught, LeRod King. He's to the 10 and dropped there. 1st down, Kentucky. It'll be 1st and goal from the 9. That's a 19-yard pickup. Derek Bryant finally brings him down.
Well, coverage drops deep, deep zone drops, and right there, LeRod King able to just kind of catch, and it's yards after the catch. You don't have to throw it to the marker. Just allow a guy to hit him in stride, and he was able to turn up the field. Big 1st down, and this is by far the deepest penetration of this Kentucky offense all game long.
Newton. Boy, he threw it right to Thurl Simon. Threw a bullet at him, but Simon couldn't hold on to it. LeRod King was the closest blue jersey in the area.
Yeah, he threw it so hard it surprised Simon. He really couldn't get his hands up. You see there, let it get to his body, but a nice job of becoming a defender, LeRod King, and breaking that thing up.
11th play of this drive. Here comes the heat. Little slant pattern. Incomplete. Looking for Brian Adams, but a flag comes in. Morris Claiborne on the coverage.
Claiborne may have had his right hand on the hip of Brian Adams, just kind of riding him inside. And the official couldn't ignore that. Yeah.
Once the ball's in the air, you cannot put a hand on the receiver.
Pass interference, defense, number 17. The penalty will replace the ball at the 2-yard line. 1st down.
Claiborne was a great athlete. He was an all-state basketball player in Shreveport, Fair Park High School. And right there, you see the right hand just riding the hip of Brian Adams. He's going to draw the flag.
1st and goal from the 2. Clemens the tailback, a couple of tight ends. Kentucky trying to avoid a shutout. And the Wildcats will have to take a timeout.
Timeout. Kentucky. 1st timeout of the half. This is the 32nd timeout.
Yeah, you want something to build on going into next week's game, and you don't want to leave here with a goose egg, not having scored, and LSU put 35 points on the board, so you want to feel pretty good about going to South Carolina next week and facing the Gamecocks.
And Tiger fans, don't miss out on the action as the LSU men's basketball team faces off with VCU, Western Kentucky, and more in the 4th annual DirecTV Charleston Classic presented by Foster Grant, November 17th, 18th, and 20th. For tickets and travel, visit charlestonclassic.com. This LSU defense giving up a paltry 14 points a game, 53 yards a game on the ground, but 235 through the air, and that's mainly because Geno Smith went for 463 on him last week, throwing 65 passes, completing 38.
They can do that now. Dana Holgorsen and his offense, it's how many plays can you get run in a football game, and they're always coming full steam ahead.
11th play of this drive coming up for the Wildcats. On 1st and goal from the 2. Big hit. Kevin Minter, the sophomore linebacker out of Swanee, Georgia, comes up and makes an outstanding play in the hole on Josh Clemens.
Yeah, and he is a guy that will roll in and out with Cornell Hatcher, who they move from free safety to middle linebacker. Minter is more of the true middle linebacker type, and boy, he plays it well. Sniffed it out, and then when you show up, bring your hips with the tackle. That's how you teach it right there.
2nd down and goal now from the 4 after the 2-yard loss. Newton will throw to the corner. Caught. Matt Rourke with the touchdown reception, and Kentucky is on the board.
Josh Downs, the defensive lineman from LSU, just a little bit late getting to Morgan Newton, and Matt Rourke comes in with a reception, a big one for a touchdown.
Matt Rourke has played in 43 career games in Kentucky. That is his first career touchdown reception.
That's hard to believe.
Point after is up and good from Craig McIntosh. So the Wildcats avoid the shutout, but it's still all LSU down on the Bayou. Today's SEC Network game is brought to you by Honda Generators, power for the ultimate tailgating experience. Havel and Wood Deposit Shield, protect what matters. Dr. Pepper with 23 flavors. Dr. Pepper is always one of a kind. Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. The Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance Event, going on now while supplies last. Vonage, sounds good. And by the 4th annual DirecTV Charleston Classic, presented by Foster Grant. Back inside Tiger Stadium, Matt Rourke with a touchdown reception, his first career touchdown reception for the Wildcats, the senior out of Ackworth, Georgia. It's Kentucky on the board. 35-7 as Joe Mansour will kick it off for the Wildcats. That is taken by Odell Beckham. And right into his own guy, stopped at the 14-yard line.
Beckham returning the kickoff from the end zone.
And now our direct auto insurance celebration of the game. Visit your local store or directgeneral.com for amazing rates and great service. And well, they can celebrate here in Baton Rouge. That is one thing these folks can do. Well, there's a bunch of things. They can cook. They always stay hydrated, and they know how to put on a good party.
I tell you what, the cooking part is deadly accurate. Good food.
Well, Zach Mettenberger gets in. Takes some snaps. The 3rd quarterback today used by Les Miles. Of course, Jordan Jefferson. Got some work in the first half on a quarterback sneak for a touchdown. Then worked a couple of series here in the 3rd quarter. And now Mettenberger gets his chance. The 6'5", 220-pound sophomore out of Watkinsville, Georgia, named the starting quarterback coming out of spring practice 2 springs ago for the Georgia Bulldogs. He would have beat out Aaron Murray. Instead, had some trouble, transferred to junior college, played a year there, and found his way to LSU. And it was 2nd-team quarterback until Thursday when Les Miles publicly came out and said, Jordan Jefferson will be our number 2.
And he threw 32 touchdowns, only 4 picks last year at Butler, Kansas Community College, and leading them to the Junior College National Championship.
Terrence McGee brought down by Ronnie Sneed. Gain of 5.
Picked up 5.
Got some time earlier in the year. against Northwestern State. 8 of 11, 92 yards. He threw a touchdown in that game. And talked to the coaching staff. They just really marvel at his arm strength and the accuracy. Can really whip the ball around. I watched him during warm-ups and very impressed. Big guy at 6'5", 220 pounds. He's the future.
No gain on the play for Blue. That'll bring up another punting situation. There have been a combined, this will be punt, if they do punt it, I'm assuming they will, the 18th punt today between these two teams.
A lot of punts. And LSU had its share of punts early in the football game when Kentucky defensively really had a bead on them, and then all of a sudden the Kentucky defense had played a lot of snaps, started to wear down a little bit. Then the Tigers got going.
Wait is the punter.
LSU, first time out of attack.
1:56 on the clock. Kentucky through the air today.
30 seconds time.
Just 6 out of 21. They have combined for 50 yards passing. Total offense 125 yards for Kentucky.
I think most of it came on that last drive.
Yes. 68 yards on that last drive. Let's take a look at our players. Hardest working player of the game. Why not? Why not Teron Matthew? He only had another forced fumble that he kept alive and took it into the end zone. It's been his deal. He's just a playmaker.
Just itching to make a play all day. They blitz him off the edge, and we've seen this before. Just a different colored uniform by the opponent, but always finding his way to the end zone after a fumble recovery. I'm telling you, just a dynamic playmaker. 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. Pretty good day for Tyrann Mathieu.
Kick is out of bounds.
Pretty good day for LSU. #1 ranked team in all of America, leading 35-7. Just a $1:46 to play in this one.